out for the adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle and Friends. Starring that jetty Jerry O'Lace, Rocket J. Squirrel, and his pal, Bullwinkle the Moose.
Hi, glad to see you again.
Likewise.
We got some great things on the show today.
Like what? Like what?
Well, you ought to know, Bullwinkle. You're in some of them.
Well, let's get started.
Well, at last we found out why American scientists, professors, and otherwise guys were attacked with a case of the galloping dumbs. It was all the fault of a mean little man from a mean little country.
Go on, say the name.
Pottsylvania.
Not that name, the other name.
Oh, Boris Badenov.
Ta-da!
Yes, armed with a weapon which fired clouds of a strange substance called goof gas, Boris was lowering the nation's IQ in a hurry.
You boys stop playing in that mother. I'll tell your father, the doctor.
Lady, that is my father, the doctor.
What's more, in our last episode, Boris even managed to get a shot at Rocky and Bullwinkle. The effect on Rocky was immediate.
Tell me about the rabbits, George.
But the effect on Bullwinkle was negligible.
Didn't bother me much either.
See? Shortly after that, the two villains headed south toward the nation's capital, but found their goof gas of little use.
Mr. Chairman, I propose we set up a $28 million committee to find out why the government is spending so much money.
Boris, what he said. You think he's already had some goof gas?
Natasha, what he said, that is goof gas.
And so the two no-goodniks headed further south toward one of the country's most strategic areas.
Welcome to Cape Carnivorous.
All spies must register with security officer.
Come on.
We're not going to register.
Who's going to spy? We're just going to sabotage.
Halt, who goes there?
Watch. Hey, Sonny. It's sure nice to see you on the job there. Here's my pass.
But I don't think...
Now, stand aside, young man.
Yes, sir, Mr. President.
And the goofy guard allowed Boris and Natasha to enter the top-secret missile base. Be with us next
Now,
time.
just a minute. This isn't the end.
No, but it won't be long now.
Oh, good heavens. Meanwhile, back in McKeesport, PA...
Rocky, baby, speak to me.
Sure, who are you?
Who am I?
So you're wondering, too.
I'm your pal, your good ever-so best friend.
My best friend?
Yeah, now speak to me.
Hello, Mom.
Mom?
A squirrel's best friend is his mother.
Boy, I never thought I'd wind up as the smart one on this show.
Well, everybody ready to start to work?
Yes, it was Captain Peter Peachfuzz.
Captain, you're back to normal.
Yes, I haven't been there in years either. All those ivy-covered halls.
Where?
At Normal, of course. Waxahachie Normal, my old alma mater.
I mean, you don't have the galloping dumbs anymore.
Oh, those. No, I recovered in about 2 days, Bullwinkle.
2 days? Then that means in a little while Rocky will be back to normal.
I didn't know he was an alumnus.
He's not, he's a squirrel.
And sure enough, at that moment, our little hero shook his head and said...
Hey, I'm back to normal.
Oh, Waxahachie, fair and proud, thy sons and daughters sing out loud.
Hey, what's with Captain Peachfuzz?
He's back to normal, too.
Our praise for you will never cease. All hail magenta and cerise.
But what happened?
We know what happened, so let's see what Boris and Natasha are up to.
We're up to about 75 feet from home plate.
Good heavens, those two miserable loafers are sneaking up on one of our missile launch control centers.
What else? You expect us to sneak down?
Well, we'll find out just what devilment they have in mind next time in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or the quick launch counter.
Jack B. Nimble was his name, a sly-footed rascal who prowled through castle basements long after everyone had gone to bed. Jack was a man of discretion. He cared not for silverware or priceless objects of art. He was obsessed with taking one thing, care packages.
You might say that I am a, caretaker.
A thief would be more apropos. Snatching his prize, Jack dashed pell-mell into the night and later, in the confines of his underground hideaway, greedily devoured contents of the packages.
Ah! What foods these morsels be?
But as it comes to all men, so it came to Jack.
Indigestion?
No, capture.
Nimble, you have pilfered care packages for over half a century. Therefore, I hereby doth banish you to the North Country.
Those dreaded words, for in the olden days the North Country was almost as bad as being exiled to Waukesha, Wisconsin. Jack pleaded, but lost his case. He had a one-way ticket and a mule with a short leg. Months later, weary and saddle-sore, he arrived in a strange village. Strange because all the villagers sat in the square, not moving, not saying a word, just waiting.
Waiting for what?
The fountain! The fountain!
In the very center of the square stood a fountain, but it wasn't running.
No, but I am. Oh, ho, ho! This place is like Cooksville.
Jack got halfway through a gateway and then froze. Why?
You tell him, narrator.
The fountain spurted up into the air and came splashing down on a very old man. Within seconds, he was transformed into a young man of 20.
That's a magic fountain.
During the course of a fortnight, Jack watched 123 souls not only get a bath, but receive such fringe benefits as health, wealth, and happiness. At last, Jack was the only one remaining.
Come on, fountain, come on. Wet me.
Obligingly, it did. And when it stopped, do you know what Jack had?
Wet hair.
Yes. There was no mysterious change. He was as penniless as before.
Fountain, you're a faker, a fraud, a Charlie Chan.
Hacking out a hole, he dug his way under the fountain and came to an underground chamber. There, beside a rusty old pump, stood a rusty old gnome.
I'm waiting for the A train.
Come now, don't josh me. You have been pumping water up to the fountain and making the people think it gave magic waters.
Look, Sonny, you got to admit it worked. Those people did things they never did before.
Oh, yes, but how about me?
Yes, how about you?
More angered than ever, Jack chased the gnome all around the chamber, eventually cornering him.
Wait, don't do anything I'll be sorry for.
Unless you can think of a way to get me a fortune.
Like all gnomes, this one had a clever plan.
Busy rack-a-do-a-luggy-ruggy, splick-a-chicka-checka-nugga-nuggy.
You heard me, folks. For 10 kazoos, you get splashed by the magic fountain and... What'd he say? And have your dreams come true. 10 kazoos, a tenth of a canaver.
Yes, Jack and the gnome went into business, and what a business it was. Jack B. Nimble got rich, the gnome got a sore back.
I do all the pumping, you do all the counting.
Oh, stop complaining. You're gonna be the richest gnome and say, where do you come from?
Alaska.
Gnome?
Fairbanks.
Keep pumping.
What a year it was. It looked as though Jack would be the J. Paul Getty of Fairyland. It looked that way.
Mister, I paid 10 kazoos, but this fountain hasn't splashed on me yet.
How long you been waiting?
4 months.
You, madam, are a very patient soul.
How about a refund?
How about you standing here while I go check on the fountain?
I keep pumping, but nothing comes out.
Well, must be dry. What'll I do?
Give her back her 10 kazoos.
Ah, but Jack had tasted riches and had no intention of returning the money. Instead, he grabbed a bucket of water.
All right, lady. Close your eyes, and a magic fountain will splash you.
Wonderful.
Jack heaved the water just as a sudden cold snap set in. Midway to its mark, the water froze.
Mr. Nimble, you have committed a very serious offense.
But, Your Honor, all I did was hit some dumb broad with a bucket of ice.
Allow me to introduce you to my wife, Gloria.
Give him life, Henry.
Jack got 30 years. Was he unhappy? Oh, my, no. You see, his cell window overlooked the village square. Every day, some poor soul would come and stand under the fountain waiting for it to splash. But Jack knew that the gnome had gone home to Fairbanks, and the fountain would never run again. This struck him as funny. It gave the village a bad name, and you spell it E-S-C-R-O. So the next time someone tells you to put your house in escrow, don't you do it.
That's a pretty strange-looking painting, Bullwinkle.
I just paint what I see.
Well, what do you see?
This is what I see. Are there poetry lovers? Today's poem is called The Bee. How doth the little busy bee improve each shining hour, and gather honey all the day from every open flower? How skillfully she builds her cell, how neat she spreads the wax, and labors hard to store it well with the sweet food she makes. Boy, that's good. Oh, hush. Uh-oh. Touchy, aren't they? Oh! In works of labor or of skill, I would be busy too, for Satan finds some mischief still for idle hands to do.
And now it's time...
Time for that jolly juggler, Bullwinkle.
Oh, dear.
Free at once. 1, 2,
And now here's a feature you're sure to like.
3.
Hello out there, Peabody here, and seated there, immersed in homework, is my boy Sherman.
Hi.
Making progress, Sherman?
I'm afraid not, Mr. Peabody. I seem to be having trouble drawing a straight line. Sure wish I had my Oliver Cromwell.
And what, pray tell, is your Oliver Cromwell?
It's an English ruler. I had it in my desk yesterday, but I seem to have...
That's enough homework, Sherman. Go set the Wayback Controls for the year 1539.
Where are we off to today?
You should be off to bed. Instead, I am taking you back to visit another English ruler, Henry VIII. We made a straight line into the Wayback Machine, and in less time than it takes to tell, we're standing inside the kitchen of Henry VIII's castle, where Henry was in the act of admonishing his head cook, who might soon become his headless cook.
Of varlet, for this you shall die.
Excuse us, your eighth-ness, but what has he done?
This is what he's done.
The embittered monarch pointed to a large platter.
Eggs over easy, Canadian bacon, 2 pieces of toast? What's wrong with that?
There's no jelly on the toast.
This, of course, was akin to treason.
I searched everywhere, Your Majesty, but I couldn't find any jelly.
Off with his head.
You can't do that.
What do you mean I can't do that?
Well, if jelly is all that's bothering you, we'll get some.
So saying, Sherman took the cook by the hand and, with yours truly bringing up the rear, left the castle.
I admire your spunk, little boy, but jelly is scarce in England.
Don't you worry, Mr. Cook. Boys my age can smoke jelly out no matter where it is. Right, Mr. Peabody?
We entered the quaint village of Hangnail on the Pinky, where a county fair was in progress.
Look, Mr. Peabody, big contest. First prize, jar of homemade jelly.
Sherman lost no time in signing us up for the big contest, but in trying to win the jelly, he got us into a jam.
If it's a cooking contest, we'll win hands down.
Hands up would be more appropriate, for Sherman has signed us up for a tug of war.
You 3 will stand on this side of the mud pit. Your opponents will stand on the other. The team that pulls the other into the mud wins.
This ought to be easy, Mr. Peabody.
Easy to say, perhaps, but to do is quite another matter. For just then we saw the other team grab their end of the rope.
They're huge, Mr. Peabody.
So was our task.
Well, here's mud in your eye.
And with that, the starting signal was given and the rope snapped taut. Effortlessly, they pulled us nearer and nearer to the gooey mess.
Mr. Peabody, we're going in.
I had to act and act fast. Noticing that each of our adversaries had a large anchor tattooed on his arm gave me the answer.
What do we do, Mr. Peabody?
Shout 2 words, Sherman. Sail ho.
Sail ho!
With that, our opponents, obviously sailors, took one hand from the rope, raised it to their brows, and scanned the horizon for an approaching vessel. That was all we needed. In that off-balance position, they gave a sudden jerk.
We did it! We won!
The judge awarded us the coveted jar of jelly.
Quick, let's get it back to the castle before King Henry finishes breakfast.
That is not a very dainty dish to set before a king. Taste it, Sherman.
Ugh, it tastes like mud.
It is mud. Those 3 sailors were poor losers and switched jars on us.
Then they have the real jelly.
But not for long. In the mud pit, their trail was easy to follow. Large, muddy footprints led directly to an old mill. Peeking through a dusty window, we saw the 3 culprits sitting in a circle, the jar of jelly to one side and a pop-up toaster in the middle.
Good heavens, that toast will be done any second. Then it's goodbye jelly.
There's not a moment to lose. Fortunately, this was an old flour mill, so I instructed the cook to whip up some custard pies post-haste, which he managed to do in an incredibly short time.
What shall I do with them?
They're ammunition. Stand here and fire when I give the word.
The toast is popping, Mr. Peabody.
So am I. You can imagine their shock when I dashed into their midst and plucked the jar of jelly.
Go, blimey, it's him what put us into the blinking mud. Grab him, boys!
But before they could touch me, I lateraled the jelly to Sherman, who was standing in the doorway. Run, Sherman! And run he did with the saddlebags hot on his heels. But no sooner did they emerge from a mill. Fire when ready! Of course, with custard in their eyes, they lost all sense of direction and stumbled into the old mill stream. A trifle later, Henry VIII finished his breakfast with jelly on his toast.
Deliciously delightful. Cook, I shall knight you for this.
Well, that ends that, Mr. Peabody.
Yes, I think it's time we returned home. Just then we saw in the courtyard a woman facing a squad of guards.
Who's that?
Henry's 5th wife, Catherine Parr. She's about to be executed.
But the guards are aiming at her with golf clubs.
Well, how else would you shoot Parr?
Last time, Boris and Natasha had managed to smuggle their goof gas gun onto one of our secret missile bases. Oh, is there no way they can be stopped?
Only if this show is cancelled, buddy.
In that case, go ahead.
This way, Natasha.
Where to, Boris?
To the main control center.
Halt! Who's there?
What is it you wanted, young man?
Conductor, could you let me off at my Shola Parkway?
Boris, he's as dumb as they go.
And they're going any minute.
And, oh dear, inside the control center, a gaggle of America's jet-age whiz kids had prepared the greatest series of blast-offs of American missiles. And suddenly the door swung open. Boris emptied the entire remainder of his goof gas in the close quarters of the control room. The result, of course, was chaos. Some scientists began playing ball.
1, 2, 3, O'Leary, 4, 5, 6, O'Leary.
Others gathered stupidly in front of the control panel.
Look at the pretty light. Maybe we can make them spell something.
How about General Lejeune is a dope?
Oh, Werner, you're such a clown.
And the scientists began to flip the switches to try to spell words on the light panel. As a result, the United States made one of the strangest multiple launches ever recorded. Unfortunately, they all had one thing in common. They were all headed for parts of the United States itself.
Bullwinkle, we have to change the course of these missiles.
A good idea.
Some plucky fellow's gonna shift them off course.
True.
Bullwinkle, will you for heaven's sake ask me how we're gonna do it?
Oh, of course. But, gee, Rock, how are we going to do it?
Boy, try to be a modest hero in this program.
Okay. How?
I fly up to those missiles and direct them somewhere else.
It'll never work.
What makes you say so, Captain?
Oh, I'm just helping to build up suspense.
Ready, Bullwinkle?
Ready, Rock.
Then hurry!
Oop!
And the plucky squirrel hurtled up and up. Faster and faster he went until he began to trail a thin black plume behind him.
Hokey smoke!
Yes, he was going so fast that the friction of air was beginning to singe his fur, but that didn't stop our boy. Squirrel! Approaching the first missile, he shoved his nose violently to one side. Then he did the same with another, and still another, until he had redirected every missile out over the ocean. Then down he plunged, getting hotter and hotter.
Heavens to Eliza, he's a little fuzzy comet.
Fortunately, when the now almost hairless Rocky returned to Earth, Bullwinkle was waiting with a tub of water. Meanwhile, Boris was already in touch with the dictator of Pennsylvania.
You should have seen those crazy missiles, Chief. All directions at once.
And where are they all aimed now, Badinov?
Where are they all aimed now? Who knows?
Who knows? I'll tell you who knows. I know.
Boris, all those missiles landed right on Pennsylvania.
Well, time for a little vacation, Natasha.
Where?
How about the South Pole?
You know, Boris, this makes us look pretty stupid.
But there's one way you could look smarter, Natasha.
How's that, darling?
Shut up, you mouth.
And back in Frostbite Falls.
Gunny Sacks, Rock, you've been appointed a official astronaut.
That's astronaut.
Funnier my way.
Oh, it was nothing that any patriotic flying squirrel wouldn't have done.
Rocky, there's only one word to describe a hero like you.
And that is?
Bold.
Be with us next time for the further adventures of Rocky the Flying Squirrel and his pal Bullwinkle.
Hooray! Hey, that's me.
Well, I guess that about wraps up another Rocky show.
Certainly hope you enjoyed it. I did. I always say.
Bullwinkle, time for us to go.
Already? Okay, but first, here are some of the people who made this show impossible. Get tired. Oop! Another way for me again.
Well, see you next time. Ready, Bullwinkle?